Hi everyone, this is Vishen Lakhiani and welcome to a Mind Valley Academy Masterclass, this time with a really special individual, a man by the name of Sri Kumar Rao, or as I call him, my personal Yoda. Sri Kumar, welcome to the set.
My pleasure to be here, Vishen.
So first let me clarify, why do I call Sri Kumar Yoda? Certainly he's not green and he's not short and has normal size ears. But what I mean by Yoda is that Sri Kumar has been a mentor for me, just like Yoda was a mentor for Luke Skywalker, and a very special kind of mentor, because he has this profound ability to dish out wisdom, like Yoda, that immediately wakens you up to new possibilities in life. So Sri Kumar, before we begin, I'd like to share a simple story of one precise moment where you shared with me one of your pieces of wisdom that made me awaken. So a couple of years ago, I was going through a really stressed out time. I happened to be visiting New York, which is where we are right now. This is Sri Kumar's home city. And we met up for coffee. And just from looking at me, he could tell that not all was well. And so he shared this poem with me. And at that particular point in my life, I was going through so much stress. The business I had the weight of the entire business on my shoulders. I had a book I had to write. My health wasn't in the best space. And it was profound stress. I'm sure you guys have been in that situation as well. And Sri Kumar read me a very interesting piece of poetry that was written in the 13th century by an Afghan refugee who was fleeing a Mongol invasion. Now this Afghan refugee, you may have actually heard of him. He's the poet Rumi, who today, 700 years later, is one of the most popular poets in America. And this is the poem that Sri Kumar shared. When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of distress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me and without any pain. From this I understand what I want also wants me, is looking for me and attracting me. There's a great secret in this for anyone who can grasp it. Reflect on that for a moment. I did. And as I did, stuff in me shifted. Within weeks, the stress melted away. Within weeks thereafter, I felt like my life was in a beautiful state of flow. Sri Kumar, how did you describe that regarding the universe and the crooked road? Could you share that?
Oh, absolutely. What I meant, Vishen, is it seems as if the universe is bending itself to help you. It goes before you to make the crooked path straight. Anything that you need comes to you at precisely the time that you need it. It's miraculous.
And that was what that state change was. Now, it is a state change. It's a completely different way of looking at the world. And we're going to attempt to give this to you. We're going to attempt to have you be Luke Skywalker and Sri Kumar be your Yoda for today. But because this state change is such a profound shift, we're going to focus on a piece of it, a piece that is very, very, very important to you guys who are watching. And that piece is resilience. Because all of us go through, for lack of a better word, shit in our lives every now and then. It may be a person we really loved who suddenly texted us to say that they wanted to break up. It may be a job that we liked, only to find that one day we show up in the office and we are being laid off. It may be a business we start that doesn't go anywhere and collapses. It may be the death of a loved one. We don't know. I don't know what you're going through, but all of us go through these moments every few years. Some of us bounce back, some of us never recover. But what if there was a way to build a certain amount of resiliency in our lives so that when these moments occur, you're able to move past them and become stronger than ever before. Now that is what we're going to be focused on. The full dimension of evolution to get to that level where the universe has your back and straightens the crooked path in front of you and lays out synchronicities and serendipitous occasions to move you forward. That comes with practice, with awakening. That comes in the new program that we are launching with Sri Kumar Rao. But today, we're just going to focus on resilience. And what you're going to learn in this masterclass are 5 ideas that come one after the other that make you so resilient to any crap that might come your way. And if you have recently faced something, it's going to help you bounce back. So first, let's get started with Sri Kumar Rao. I want to tell you a little bit about this man beyond just the impact he's had on me. Sri Kumar Rao is known for a couple of major things. One of them is he is one of only 7 people in the world who gave a speech outside TED that was so good that his speech was selected by TED to feature on their TED.com website. Now think about that for a moment. TED.com is an organization that features speeches done on the TED stage, but there have only been 7 people in the history of TED, one of which was the great physicist Richard Feynman, whose speeches outside TED were picked up by TED to be featured on their website. Sri Kumar's speech is one of them. To this date, it's had about 800,000 views. It's pushing 1 million, and you can go check it out. Secondly, he is one of the most popular professors in America. Now what happened is Sri Kumar started teaching a course in Long Island University called Creativity and Personal Mastery. It got so popular, he was invited to teach it in Columbia and later business schools all around the country. The course in these schools got so popular, so many students wanted to enroll in them, that he had to set up multiple barriers because he couldn't take all of these students. These barriers included writing some 7 essays to get into the class. Now, the class was, once you got in, was so profound on its impact on people that students who went for this class formed alumni associations. So they were alumni associations of students, not from just the university, but from the particular class that Sri Kumar invented. Creativity and personal mastery. These students paid tens of thousands of dollars to get into an MBA program and then had to go through multiple hurdles just to get into these packed classes. They were long wait lists to get in. And the reason was the profound impact that these man's teachings had on these students' lives. Here's what a couple of students had to say.
So Howard Kaplan, who is a graduate from Harvard Business School, 1984, after learning from Sri Kumar Rao and attending Rao's classes, he said he was able to double his business, even in a lousy economy, start an amazing new business venture, got asked to serve on the board of a nonprofit, created 30 new relationships over 6 months, and his family's been telling him he has never been happier. This guy, Joshua Klenoff from Columbia Business School, said, transformed and improved every aspect of my life. Now, this is cool. I met my wife because of what I learned in this course. Started my company because of ideas it opened up. So really cool. I wonder how the course led to him meeting his wife, but that's another story.
Evan Galbraith, again from Columbia Business School, that's where he got acquainted with Rao, said that this massively increased the revenues at his business, which is a cyber cafe that he owned in Manhattan. Now, this is one of the interesting things about the program, right? Check out what Barron said. The results can be so powerful as to appear uncanny. I've noticed this as well. A lot of Rao students notice this. Once you tap into this idea that he's going to share of the benevolent universe, you find that beautiful synchronicities, beautiful things start popping up in your life that move you towards your goal faster than before, which is why one of Rao's key messages is set your goals and then forget about them. And he talks a lot about surrendering to your goals and then seeing them come to you faster than ever before. Which is why people like Jessica Vitalis said that Professor Rao's course was the highlight of their MBA experience, caused her to totally re-evaluate her life path. And as a result, it causes you to, in the words of this guy, Murli, emerge as a new person. And primarily, it helps you get in touch with yourself, which is why in addition to people saying that they're now moving through life more effortlessly, by being in touch with themselves, they end up being in closer touch with everyone around them.
Brendan Peel, Columbia Business School, said, I attribute 80% of my $120,000 MBA price tag to this one class. Think about that. $120,000. That was Brendan's MBA bill. 80% he attributes to Sri Kumar Rao's class.
So can't wait for you to start learning from this legendary man, Sri Kumar Rao.
Now, when we designed this masterclass, I asked Sri Kumar to pick a topic that he felt would be most relevant to our audience. And that's how we arrived at this topic on bouncing back and resiliency. So let's get started with your training. First off, Sri Kumar Rao, I'd love for the audience to get to know you better.
Yeah.
Tell us, what made you as a professor decide to teach something that is so out there, for lack of a better word, different from conventional business school classes?
Okay. Vishen, this course actually started as something that I needed for myself. Let me explain. I started my PhD at Columbia and I dropped out and started working for corporations. And initially, I dropped out of Columbia Business School for a while to work as an executive at Warner Communications, and I was hugely successful. But then I got tired of corporate politics and I decided, let me go to academia where there is no politics. I was sadly mistaken. I found out that politics is alive and well in academia. And after a few years, I felt stuck. I was really sorry for myself because I was stagnating. My peers had gone far ahead of me, and I was stuck in a university not doing particularly well and feeling really sorry for myself. All my life I'd been doing a lot of reading, spiritual biography, mystical autobiography that would take me to a nice place, and then I came back to the real world, and it sucked. And I remember thinking that if all of this is useful only if I was sitting quietly thinking peaceful thoughts and not when I came to the hurly-burly, then it's actually pretty useless. But somehow I knew it wasn't true. Somehow I knew this was very valuable, maybe even the only thing that was valuable. I just hadn't figured out how to make use of it. So one day I got my brilliant idea, which is, why don't I take the teachings of the world's great masters, strip them of religious, cultural, and other connotations, and adapt them so that they're acceptable to intelligent people in a post-industrial society. And the thought of doing something like that made me come alive. Forget about others. I needed to create this course for me. I was a marketing guy, so every time I came up with a bright idea, my immediate question was, will others be interested? Is there a market for this? My initial reaction was, I teach MBA students. We all know what motivates MBAs. Nobody is going to enroll for the course, and that was fine. If they did, wonderful. If they didn't, God bless them. I was going to create this course because I needed this for me. So I did. I offered it at Long Island University. It did well. I modified it and offered it again. It did better. Then I moved it to Columbia Business School, and after a couple of years, it exploded. It was the only course at Columbia Business School which was a university-wide draw. I had students from business school, from law school, from the School of International and Public Affairs, from journalism, from Teachers College, all over. So subsequently, it spread by word of mouth, and I've taught it at London Business School, at Kellogg, at Berkeley, and I'm still teaching it at major institutions.
That's an amazing story. It's amazing how a university course, because I remember university, maybe I wasn't the stereotypical student, but I found most of my courses highly boring, and I barely remember a thing I learned in university. And I wish, you guys probably do as well, that when we had a chance to go to university, we could learn this type of teaching. That's pretty profound. The lessons of great masters applied to a post-industrial society. Love that. Now, what made you pick this topic to share with us today? Bouncing back and resiliency.
We are all suffering a great deal of stress, Vishen, and the degree of stress is increasing. And I find increasingly persons feel that they are beaten, feel that life is against them. And it doesn't have to be so. As a matter of fact, I teach not resilience, but extreme resilience. In extreme resilience, you bounce back so quickly from adversity that somebody from outside would not even know that you've suffered a setback. And this is possible. It's possible for you.
So at this point, let's go into the 5 ideas, Sri Kumar. And for those of you watching, you should have your workbook out and you should have a pen handy. Because if you're new to these Mind Valley Academy masterclasses, know that what we like to do is deliver really powerful information, but in a compressed time frame, right? So have a pen and pencil ready, because we're now going to take you through this transformation. Sri Kumar, let's begin.
All right. So Vishen, there are several things that we can do to become resilient. In fact, to become extremely resilient. First, good thing, bad thing, who knows? This actually derives from a Sufi tale. There was a man and his son who lived in a valley, and they were very happy, and they were also dirt poor. And the man decided that he wanted to become rich, and he bought a stallion because he intended to breed horses. And the very night that he bought the stallion, it kicked the top bar loose from the paddock where he housed it and escaped. All the villagers ran around him commiserating. They said, "You wanted to be a rich man, but your stallion ran away and you still owe us money." The man shrugged his shoulder and said, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" The stallion fell in with a group of wild horses, and the man was able to entice them into the paddock which he had repaired, so escape was no longer possible. So all of a sudden now he had his stallion back plus about a dozen horses, and by the standards of that village, that made him a rich man. The villagers came around to congratulate him. They said, "We thought you were destitute, but fortune has smiled upon you." And he shrugged his shoulders and said, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" The man and his son started breaking the horses so that they could sell them on the market, and one of the horses threw the man's son and stomped on his leg. It broke and it healed crooked. The neighbors came around again and said he was such a fine young lad, and now he'll never be able to find a girl to marry him. He shrugged his shoulder and said, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" That summer, the king of the country declared war on a neighboring country. Press gangs moved through the villages, rounding up all the able-bodied young men. But this man's son was spared because he had a game leg. And the neighbors had tears in their eyes, and they said, "We don't know if we will ever see our sons alive again, but you still have your son. How fortunate are you?" And the man shrugged his shoulder and said, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" And it goes on like that forever. There's a very instructive tale here. And let me ask you a question. Can you recall any instance in your life that when it happened, you thought this is terrible, but looking back on it now, with the perspective of time and perhaps greater wisdom, you can say this was actually pretty good? Some of my students at London Business School got a job in the City of London. That's the London equivalent of Wall Street. And when the financial crisis hit, one of them was laid off. He was unhappy for a while, but he never really liked his job, so he bounced back, took a vacation, and started a business. He was one of the early persons to be laid off, and he got a very healthy severance. 6 months later, when the financial crisis worsened, his colleagues were laid off, and they got nothing. The severance he got was actually the seed money he used to start his business. So he was actually fortunate to be laid off. In your own life, something is happening now which you're about to label bad. Can you think of any way in which, in a few years, this could actually be a good thing? Just asking yourself this question will put you in a different emotional frame. And if you then take the next step and say, is there anything I can do to actually make this a good thing? Pathways will open up that you would never even have considered. When something happens to you and you don't label it a bad thing, you don't suffer. That's one of the ways in which you become resilient.
You know, that's a really beautiful idea. I learned that from you, and I've been applying it in my life whenever bad things happen. And not only does it help me bounce back, but it almost, in a way, makes that bad thing not even be a memory.
Correct.
What I like about that idea, good thing, bad thing, is that if you really think about your life, it implies that every man or woman who broke your heart, in a way, helped you become a better person, gave you more awareness, but led you to whoever you are with right now. But at that time, you probably felt so much pain. Every business failure you might have had, and I've had many, led me to the work I do right now. And if those businesses had taken off, I might be in a completely different field, and some of those fields were not fields I want to be in. So it's a beautiful idea to apply in your life. Think about a situation in your life happening now or happened recently that you had thus labeled bad, and think about how this might actually be a good thing. Now, Srikama, you have an interesting model
Of how to view the world.
on how to view the world from and see a bad thing as potentially a good thing. And you call it the benevolent universe, which is key idea number 2.
Yes. The benevolent universe actually is something that I stole from Albert Einstein. Now, we think of Albert Einstein as a great scientist, and he was, but he was also a philosopher who had an incredible understanding of the way the world works. And Vishen, Einstein said, the most important question you're ever going to ask is the universe friendly? Let me repeat that. This is Einstein. And he said the most important question you are ever going to ask is the universe friendly? Now, there are a few people who believe the universe is unfriendly and the sole purpose of the universe is to make things difficult for you. So, if you're running late, it will make sure that you get stuck in a traffic jam. Such people are few. Let's not bother about them. In all likelihood, you and the vast majority of everybody you know believes that the universe is indifferent to you. Sometimes it seems to be working with you, at other times it's at cross purposes, and most of the time it just does its thing. So you do your thing, the universe does its thing, it's not aware of you and couldn't care less. That's the universe we live in. But let's assume the universe is friendly. Friends don't shaft friends, do they? They don't. So if something happens to you which you think, hey, this is bad, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's exactly what you needed. Look at it this way. If you're an infant, you want a tub of ice cream. Your parents give you fruits and vegetables. You don't want fruits and vegetables. You want ice cream. And it's only much later when you have a different level of maturity and understanding that you can say, boy, am I grateful my parents gave me fruit and vegetables. In exactly the same way, the universe might be giving you something now that you don't want. But what if this was exactly what you needed at this precise moment for your learning and growth? Now, a little examination of this will tell you that regardless of whether or not the universe is friendly, if you believed the universe was friendly, your life would improve significantly. But what if the universe actually was friendly? Now, just because you recognize that a model is intellectually superior doesn't necessarily mean that you can adopt it. But there are things that you can do, and I will teach you this later, to adopt the benevolent universe model.
So the benevolent universe was one of the most profound ideas I've been able to bring into my life. And for those of you who follow my training, you know that I speak about models of reality, and I talk about how we can have different models of reality of the world. Some empower us, some put us down. One of the models of reality I got from Sri Kumar Rao, which is in regards to the universe, was a very interesting model. And you shared this with me once. You said, Vishen, you do not, I'm paraphrasing of course, but you put this idea in my head that I am not trying to build a company for my own goals, but rather I've been summoned or chosen to build a company because what I am trying to do with Mind Valley is something that the universe wants to manifest, and thus the universe is in a way my boss. So I'm employed by a higher power, and a good boss, of course, lays out for you the right resources, the right assets, the right funding, the right people, so you can get your job done because he wants the job done. And that simple shift, that shift going from I had to push and create and struggle and to build what I want and get it out there in the world, to, oh look, there's this big guy out there who's laying the pot for me. That really shifted how I fundamentally function in the world. And when I got that shift, that was what removed the final bits of stress and anxiety from my life. And even when things went wrong, good thing, bad thing, I stopped labeling it such. So I found that really helped me. And I wanted to share that idea with you in case that particular topic might be helping you as well. Are you the chosen one? Is there a higher power, a friendly universe, as Sri Kumar calls it, that wants what it is that you're trying to manifest and has simply asked you to collaborate with it? And if so, the universe is not just benevolent, the universe is your frickin' boss.
Great. I'd like to add to that, Vishen. Don't think that you are doing anything or accomplishing anything. You are an instrument through which the universe is expressing itself, and your job is to be the best darn instrument you're capable of.
So how do we do that? how do we be a fine-tuned instrument for the universe?
Okay. So Vishen, let me tell you how you can become the perfect instrument, or if not the perfect instrument, at least a darn good one. I'd like you to go back and think in terms of how you live your life. Most of us are trained to be goal-oriented. So we set a goal for ourselves, and then we perform activities that are designed to help us achieve our goal, and we live our lives according to this way. I set a goal for myself, I succeeded, life's a blast. I set a goal for myself, I failed, life sucks. We live our lives on a sinusoidal curve going between elation and despair, and we generally spend more time at the despair end of the spectrum. This is not a very nice way to live. There is an alternative, and this alternative makes us a better instrument for the universe to work through. And the alternative is the following. Forget about the goals. Goals are very important, but they're important only because they set direction. Once the direction has been set, don't give a second thought to the goal. Instead, clearly envision the activities that you have to undertake to reach your goal and put all of your emotional energy into the activity. That's what you think about. Forget about the goal. When you invest in the activities, when you invest in the process, two things happen. You actually start enjoying the journey. The journey is the only thing you have. The destination is a mirage. You're there today, you're off someplace else tomorrow. The journey is with you always. So when you invest in the process, you are actually enjoying the journey, and paradoxically, the more you are detached from the outcome, the more you don't particularly care whether you reach the goal or not, the higher the probability that you will actually reach it.
But wait, now I'm confused, because I get the idea about investing in the journey, but isn't that back to striving mode?
No.
Because you're busy doing and doing and doing.
I'm glad you asked that question, Vishen, because it is no. You are not doing because you want to achieve something which will bring stress into your life. You're doing because that is your path in the universe. That is what the universe is guiding you. So you're doing the very best that you're capable of, but whether or not you succeed does not matter. And whether or not you succeed doesn't matter, the probability of your succeeding actually increases. Let me explain. John Wooden was the first person to reach the Basketball Hall of Fame, both as a player and as a coach. He led UCLA to an unprecedented number of victories in the NCAA tournaments. And he used to say, whenever I worked with a new team, I never talked about winning or outscoring opponents. I always talked about when it was over and you looked in the mirror, did you do the best that you were capable of? If you did the best you were capable of, the score doesn't matter. But if you did the best you were capable of, I fancy you'll find the score to your liking. That's exactly the way it works. You do the very best you can, but when you focus on the activities, you are not under stress. You are doing it because you're being an instrument. This is your path in life.
Isn't that counter to what Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich, when he said, think about the what you want, but not the how. If you know the what, the how will come to you. Doesn't that mean that you should be focused on the goal?
No. Go back to what I said. The what you want is the goal, and once you have established that, you have established direction. After you have established direction, you then let it go. You do not obsess about it. You do not look at it every 5 seconds and say, am I there yet?
I see.
You have patience in the universe doing what it needs to. You will do your part of it, which is all the activities that you have identified that lead to the goal, you will perform with the utmost diligence with every fiber of your being.
I see what you mean. So it is not about getting obsessed with the goal.
Correct.
Right? Once we identify the direction, it's about when you say invest in the process, what you are saying is that we now want to be invested in ensuring that the path that we are taking, the journey, is pleasurable, is joyful.
Correct.
And to trust
To
that
trust the universe will provide you what is needed at the precise time you need it.
that is an important distinction. To trust that the universe will provide you what you need at the precise time you need it.
Correct.
I see. So do you guys see how this is coming together? You can see there's a lot to think about. You can see why this guy is like Yoda. In fact, he made me carry him on my back up the stairs to get to this room. If you're a Star Wars fan, you would have gotten that reference. Let's go on to idea number 4. And this requires a lot of thinking. I mean, the entire conversation. But as we go deeper into these ideas, you will start seeing how the dots connect.
Here's something that I would like you to be aware of. We spend way too much time agonizing over the 2, 3, or 4 things that are wrong in our lives. More precisely, on the 2, 3, or 4 things that we've arbitrarily decided are wrong with our life. And we completely ignore the 40, 50, 60 things that are actually pretty darn good about our lives. So, flip that around. Consciously bring to mind how fortunate you are in so many ways and feel appreciation and gratitude. Now, I must stress that this is an experiential exercise, not an intellectual one. So you can't make a list and check things off. You can't say, good health, check. Food to eat, check. Roof overhead, check. It doesn't work like that. You have to genuinely feel gratitude, let it well up from the soles of your feet, go through your body, and come out through your mouth and your facial orifices. Immerse yourself. Should we take that off?
No, leave it in.
Why?
Again, let's leave that in.
If you are a type A person who lives in his or her head, it may take some time before you get from thinking gratitude to feeling gratitude. But if you do that, you will find that your experience of life is transformed. I recommend that you do this last thing at night, but don't stop doing it just once last thing at night. Do it many times during the day. And my wish for you, my vision for you, is that you live in a world where appreciation and gratitude is your normal, habitual emotional domain. And when you do that, you'll find that life is ever so much blessed, ever so much fun.
I love the emphasis you placed on feeling gratitude till it comes out of your facial orifices. Yes. I love that. And by the way, I'm laughing so hard, there are tears coming out of my eyes. And that's what you want to have when you're really feeling gratitude. You know, why is the feeling so important? Why does the feeling make such a big further leap than simply having a list?
If you have a list, it does not affect your emotions. When you feel something, it resonates in the very fiber of your being, and that is what makes transformation possible.
I see. So it's the emotions
Oh,
that
yes.
we're in. It's not just making a list or seeing it. It's not just about the visualization. It's
No.
the feeling and the emotions. Right.
Emotions are ever so much stronger than mere thoughts.
So let's recap the first 4 before we move on to the final point. So the first is good thing, bad thing, it doesn't matter. As you're going through life, don't add a label to what happens to you. Number 2, trust in a benevolent universe, a universe that is on your side, that is a friend and ally, and friends and allies got your back. Third, invest in the process, not the outcome. There's no necessarily bad thing. If the universe is an ally, you can now set an intention or a goal, forget about it, and focus on the joy of pursuing that goal, the process, the journey, not the destination. And fourth, to keep you aligned with the process, to keep you in the right emotional state, invest in gratitude. Practice gratitude as often as you can. Now, what is number 5?
Well, number 5 is also very powerful, Vishen, and that is you can reframe whatever reality you are facing. Let me give you an example of this. When my daughter was born, I had just finished my PhD at Columbia Business School, and I had a lot of friends who had children who were slightly older than my daughter. And they were very solicitous, and they came up and said, "You know, I have a crib. Would you like a crib? I have a high chair. Would you like a high chair? What about a stroller? I have one that I'm not using." And I said, "Of course, bring them on." I saved a bundle doing that, and it's nice. When my son was born, unfortunately, I had no friends who were so giving, so he got new strollers, new high chairs, new cribs. It didn't strike me as any big deal, but my daughter was really upset. She came up and asked me, "Daddy, how come my brother got new stuff and I had old stuff?" I brushed it off. I thought it would go, but it didn't. She would keep coming up to me and she wanted to know why she got used furniture and my brother got new ones. It became apparent to me that I could not duck this issue. One day I had a flash of inspiration. So I went up to my daughter and said, "I realize that you got used stuff. Your brother got new stuff. But there is something you got new, which is so much more important than anything your brother will ever get, that it more than makes up for that. In fact, if for the rest of your life you only get used stuff and he gets new stuff, this will still put you ahead." My daughter was puzzled. She didn't believe it, but she was also curious. So she said, "What did I get new that my brother got used?" So I leaned forward conspiratorially and said, "You got brand new parents. Your brother got used parents." There was a moment, and then there was a big smile on her face, and that problem went away forever. It's a funny tale, but it's also an instructive tale, because you have the ability to reframe any situation which you are confronting. For example, your partner gets really angry at you. You recognize that it's not anything that you did, but that she has an emotional need. She wants to know that you support her. She wants to know that you care for her. Can you see beyond the expression of anger to there is a need she has that you can fulfill? There are many different occasions when you see this is what happens. And the way you see this is what happens is part of the problem. You can look back and say, "I think this is the way it happens, but here is another way of looking at it." And when you use that other way of looking at it, the problem dissolves. Reframing is an extremely powerful technique. You have to learn to use it and experiment with it, but try it.
I love that idea. Reframing is a really, really powerful concept. A couple of weeks ago, and I'll share this as an example so you guys really have this sink in. I was traveling from Estonia, which is where my family spends every Christmas because my wife and kids are Estonian, to Kuala Lumpur, which is where Mind Valley's office is based. And we had to fly through Istanbul airport where we had a transfer. What we didn't know is that we were about to fly into the biggest snowstorm in Istanbul in decades, and our plane couldn't land. So we got flown to a tiny town near the Black Sea called Samsun, and there we were stranded for for God knows how long, right? There was no message, no word. Thousands, tens of thousands of travelers in Turkey were stranded. And we were put up in a really, really, really bad hotel, a 3-star hotel, my wife, my kids, my in-laws, and no one could speak any English. We had no communication. We didn't know what to do. And after a day and a half over there, I was so upset. I was angry. I'd been on the call with the airlines for hours. I decided, I can choose to be angry and upset, or we can just turn this into an adventure. I wanted to get home because I had a busy day at the office, but I realized that I was actually with my family and my kids, and I was in this new country that they had never been to before. So rather than continue waiting for the airline, I booked a flight, any flight I could get on, to the next nearest big city that at least had something touristy to do. We flew to Ankara, Turkey, and we spent 2 days in Ankara with my kids. And it was 2 of the most beautiful days ever. What was meant to be me stranded ended up being an incredible family holiday. I got to spend time with my kid exploring the old city, all because of that reframe. And so what ended up being stranded turned into an incredible adventure with my son and my daughter and my family. And now when I think back about that, I don't even feel any stress or any anger towards what happened. I see it as a gift from the universe that got me to pluck myself out of, another regular busy business day, and it gave me 2 extra days with my kids in an environment I could never have logically planned myself. So that's the power of the reframe. And there you have it, those 5 ideas. So let's recap one more time. Good thing, bad thing, benevolent universe, invest in process, not outcome, be grateful, and reframe or let it go. So, Sri Kumar, thank you for those 5 ideas. Now, why do those 5 ideas come together so well to give us resiliency?
Let's talk about what resilience is. Resilience is when something happens that deforms you, and then you go back to what you were like before. Now, when something happens that deforms us, we're generally talking about a life event that is not the way we would like it to be, right? But the universe is always going to be doing stuff to you. You are in the human predicament. As long as you're in the human predicament, stuff will happen. Business reverses, financial setbacks, relationship problems, illness, serious illness and death. That's part of the human predicament. Each of these is a stressor. When these happen, you have basically 2 choices. Feces drops from the sky. And when feces drops from the sky, you can do 1 or 2 things. You can get messy, or you can put up your transparent plastic umbrella and say, look at the pretty shades of yellow. The methods that I have advocated will enable you to put up your transparent plastic umbrella and say, look at the pretty shades of yellow.
Did you just say feces drops from the sky? How is feces yellow? I love how you make everything academic. Normal people just say shit.
But the very fact that you say feces makes it funny.
Right, that's true. So guys, you get the idea. And I hope you enjoyed this class on how to build resiliency into your life. Now keep in mind that Yoda here doesn't just teach resiliency. What he actually teaches is one of the most profound courses that business school graduates are taking all around the world. And there's a long line to get into these classes. He also teaches a 3-month program in New York City. It's 3 days a month for 3 months. It's a $10,000 program called Creativity and Personal Mastery. You can study with Sri Kumar Rao in one of these programs that's happening in New York over 3 months. But because I'm such a fan of his work, I've been working with Sri Kumar Rao for the past couple of months to create a Mind Valley version of his program. And this is on our Quest platform. It is a 45-day program, and I'm really excited to tell you guys about what we've put together. Now, this program is available for a really, really negligible price because when we release these programs to our Mind Valley community, we typically have, on average, 2,000 to 3,000 students enroll at once. And this is actually a really important fact because our new Quest platform is designed to take these thousands of students and have them go through a program over 45 days as a cohort, as a community. This was actually interestingly enough, a key principle of Sri Kumar Rao's class. He based it on the Buddhist idea of Sangha. Explain Sangha for a moment.
In Buddhism, there are 3 pillars, and one of the pillars is Sangha, which is the community of those who are on the path. And there is the recognition that as you travel on this path, there are times when you're going to feel drained, depressed, and have no energy. At that time, somebody else in the path will serve as a shoulder that you can lean on. There are other times when you're going to be strong and somebody else needs help, and you will provide a shoulder. It's a method by which everybody can benefit. The Sangha is the community of those on the path, and there is a special joy in being a part of that.
And so, the program we put together is based on a unique community-style learning. This is what happens on our Quest platform. What's happening is, Sri Kumar Rao has developed a program exclusively for our Mind Valley audience that, over 45 days, helps you take the ideas from the world's greatest masters, masters who go back thousands and thousands of years, not just the Buddha, but many other incredible masters. He's taken all of this wisdom and put it into a 45-day journey of awakening. This completely wakes you up to who you really are. But you don't go through it by yourself. You go through it and you begin on a particular start date. That information is now below this video. And you will be starting with thousands of other students. It's a form of guided coaching. Every single day, Sri Kumar Rao will give you no more than 20 minutes of instruction. It may be about 10 minutes of video, maybe 5 to 6 minutes of practical exercise, whether it's writing down something in your journal, a thought process, a transcendent practice. But over 45 days, you start waking up to some really powerful ideas. It's a journey of awakening to your true potential that you're taking with thousands of students. Now, let me tell you what is covered in this journey, because at the end of 45 days, a couple of really incredible things start happening to you. You are no longer the old version of yourself. You have shed that skin, and this wisdom from many masters has now infused you. You become a different person. This is why Sri Kumar Rao's Creativity and Personal Mastery program in universities has become one of those rare university classes where fathers have their sons come back and enroll in these classes. It spans generations, and it's so packed because of word of mouth, because it shifts people, it awakens them. So there are 7 things that are going to be covered in this program. Take a look and see if this is something you want to enroll into, because you can see the impact this man has had in my life, and I know it's going to be the same for you. Now, the first item, Sri Kumar, is being comfortable with ambiguity. Explain that for us really quickly.
Oh, certainly. We all want to have certainty. We want to know what's going to happen tomorrow, the day after, and the day after. But life doesn't work that way. With the best will in the world, you set off to achieve an outcome, and it doesn't happen. When you take this program, you're not concerned about whether or not a particular outcome that you desire will come to pass. No matter what happens, you have great confidence in your ability to behave appropriately and deal with it as necessary.
And that gives you an incredible confidence to do bolder things in life.
Absolutely, yes.
Now, number 2, the second thing you learn is how to improve your relationships across the board.
Actually, Vishen, you don't consciously learn to improve your relationships. Your relationships improve automatically.
But why is that?
Because what happens is we tend to live our lives in a me-centered universe. We're always looking at what's the impact on me. And many of the exercises in the Quest are designed to get you to look at the world from an other-centered perspective. And as you do that, you find that others respond to you differently. Relationships improve as a byproduct, not as something that you consciously set out to do.
That's beautiful, and that's certainly something I've noticed about you. You're such a warm presence. Now, number 3, it teaches you to become a more inspired leader. How does that happen?
Once again, this is something that happens as a byproduct. So let me tell you a little bit about leadership. Most of us want to be an inspiring leader. And what I say is, if you want to be an inspiring leader, you're pretty well advanced on the wrong path. Because when you want to be an inspiring leader, it's all about you. I want to be an inspiring leader. What you're really saying is, I want people to do what I would like them to do, which perhaps they don't want to do. So I've got to figure out how to get people to do what I want them to do when they don't want to do what I want them to do, which means I want to manipulate people, which is not a very nice thing to do. So if you want to be an inspiring leader, forget about being an inspiring leader. Instead, be personally inspired. When you're inspired by a great cause, something which brings a greater good to a greater community, and you learn to communicate this vision that you have, you become an inspiring leader by default. It's like when Gandhi was starting his work in South Africa. He didn't say, I want to inspire tens of millions of people. His thought was, the passport laws are unjust and I will not let them stand. And he was a British trained attorney. He had verbal fluency. So he used whatever skills he had to mobilize the port for this. And because of this and his later work against colonial rule in India, millions of people did in fact become inspired by him. That's how it happens. You find a cause, you become inspired, you learn to communicate your vision, you become an inspiring leader by default.
And one of the beautiful things about this program, by the way, I love that, and that's new to me as well, to be an inspired leader, find it, be inspired. One of the beautiful things about this program is that when you adopt that idea of the benevolent universe, you get inspired on why you're here and how you're meant to serve that universe. That is what shifts things. Let's go on to number 4. Number 4 is people start seeking you out to ask for your advice and counsel. How does that happen?
Once again, that's a byproduct vision. As you start working on yourself, you develop a presence, a gravitas. As you start living in an other-centered universe and you genuinely look to see how you can be of service to a greater community, that communicates itself in a dozen subtle ways. And persons are attracted to that. And they're attracted to the sense of calmness and peace they see in you, and they want that for themselves. So they come and ask you, what do you do? How can I be like that?
I like that. Number 5, you become dramatically more effective in everything you do.
When you're goal-oriented, you're constantly looking to see, did I reach my goal or did I not? And you're subject to mood swings. When you focus on the process, you start enjoying the journey. As you start enjoying the journey, you find that you're much more effective. Every time when you take your attention off reaching a particular outcome into what are the things under my control, and that's the only thing you focus on, you're more effective and more efficient.
That's beautifully said. Let's go on to number 6. Number 6 is stress and anxiety will largely leave your life.
Anxiety is when there is an outcome that you dread. Will this happen to me? The methods and techniques that I outline, and these are drawn from the world's greatest masters, leave you confident. No matter what happens, I will be able to deal with it. If that's the case, why are you afraid? Let the universe throw the worst it can, and it won't throw the worst it can because it's benevolent. So what are you afraid of?
You're right. And that brings us to number 7. You will have a sense of purpose in your life.
That's easy vision. One of the things that we learn in this program is that you have a greater goal, something that brings a greater good to a greater community. As you become imbued in that, you find that you can devote a big chunk of your life, if not your entire life, a big chunk of your life to that. That feeds into you and gives you a sense of purpose. That is what makes you get up in the morning with your blood singing. You will find that your greatest joy comes not from grabbing something for yourself, but from being of service to a broader community.
And that is why we're so excited about this program. Let's recap, okay? And keep in mind, guys, this is by no means just the 7 things that are covered in this new course with Sri Kumar Rao. It goes a lot deeper. But among the many things you get out of it is you become comfortable with ambiguity. You become more resilient. Your relationships improve across the board. You become a more inspiring leader, and people seek you out for your advice and counsel. They want to know, how are you in this incredibly awesome state of being all the time? You become much more effective in everything you do because life is no longer a struggle. You've got an ally. Someone has your back, and that someone is a benevolent universe. Stress and anxiety largely leave your life. It doesn't mean you don't face stressful situations. You simply know how to view them in a different way and how to move beyond them because of that resiliency. Finally, you have this profound sense of purpose that pulls you forward and makes you so excited about that life that you're living. Now, it isn't easy. You can conceptually understand those 7 things, but having them infuse within you takes a shift in your belief system, and it takes some practice. And that's what this program is about. It is not just Sri Kumar Rao lecturing you on a daily basis. This is put together in a very unique way. You get an insight, you get a practical exercise, you engage with the community. Thousands of us will be starting this program at the same time. And so you have to enroll before the start date, which is below, but you start at the same time and you go through that journey together. And that's what makes this so effective. Now, this particular new learning model that we developed here at Mind Valley is called Mind Valley Quest. And what we've found is that it is far more effective than traditional online courses. For one thing, because of the community, because of the micro-learning where you're going through it in tiny little micro slices every day, people tend to complete it at 400-500% better completion rates than traditional courses. The micro-learning means it's relatively easy. You can listen to Sri Kumar's wisdom in your car because it comes available as an iPad app, an iPhone app, an Android phone app, and a desktop app. So you can take this on any type of device you have. This program really matters to us at Mind Valley because one of our big missions as a company is helping fill the gaps that modern education has created. And modern education teaches you how to have a good career, how to make money, but it doesn't really teach you how to live a life that's extraordinary, how to be fulfilled, how to live your mission, how to make a dent in the universe. This program does. This is why even business school students, MBA students at elite universities like Columbia get this and are flocking to Professor Rao's classes. Have you ever wondered how your life could be different if you could have, say, enrolled in one of the top MBA schools in the world, and maybe not take the entire curriculum, but take the top class in that school, say Columbia? Well, this is a chance. And you'll find that the cost of this is just a fraction of what a traditional university would charge for this type of knowledge. And this is some of the most important knowledge you can bring into your life. So as a thank you for watching this masterclass, you can enroll below. And you also get a special unlock discount because we know you just spent an hour watching this class, and we appreciate that. So don't close this page because that unlock bonus is only on this page for people who have watched that masterclass. You can enroll on this page, save even more, and be part of this beautiful, incredible community that's going to be studying with my mentor, my Yoda, Professor Sri Kumar Rao, and a guy who has had a profound impact on thousands of lives. All the information is below, and I look forward to seeing you in this program. Sri Kumar Rao, any parting words?
Yes. It's an honor and privilege to be with you, and I look forward to being your guide in the near future.
So thank you, guys. I'll see you in this program.
See you there, and looking forward to it.
All the information is right below. Hi, everyone. I got a whole bunch of questions here from those of you who are interested in Sri Kumar Rao's quest for personal mastery. This is one of the programs I'm most proud to bring to Mind Valley because it's based on the teachings of Rao, who is an amazing teacher at many of the top universities in the world. And when you go through the quest for personal mastery, one of the beautiful things is over 45 days, Rao unwraps so many mental models that we have blindly taken on since childhood. Mental models that get us to forget who we really are, to fall into what he calls the myth and the lies of the matrix. And this matrix, he says, is not something created by some alien civilization. It's a matrix of beliefs and ideas created by human society that pull us away from our natural state, that make us forget who we are and instead identify with a title or career or some identity imposed by society rather than our true selves. So here are some of the biggest questions I'm getting about the quest for personal mastery. And I wanted to answer these so that you can decide if this is a Mind Valley class that you want to participate in. So the first thing is this just for college students and business professionals? What can ordinary people get out of it? Okay, so this is not just for people who are doing their MBA. It's not just for you if you're an entrepreneur or an executive. It's for you, look, if you have a pulse, if you're alive, most of us have a job. Most of us have a reason we are living life. But even if you're unemployed, even if you've decided that you're not working right now, you're going to stay at home and raise amazing children, this course is for you because it's about detaching yourself from the many lies that human society conditions us to believe about ourselves. And that is essentially what personal mastery is about. Rao takes the wisdom from many Eastern philosophers, from ancient Chinese and Indian and Far Eastern tradition, and he brings it into modern Western society. Now, this makes you immune to so much of the craziness that life is inevitably going to toss at you as you go through life. So no matter where you are in life right now, whether you're in the middle of your career or in the middle of a painful divorce, this program is something that's going to really help you get in tune with your true self and live a life like a master. Okay, the next question is, I'm quite advanced in my personal growth journey, so I've heard these concepts before. How can this particular masterclass help me? So for people like you who are personal growth junkies just like me, here's what I got from the quest for personal mastery. In 45 days, right, a lot of the ideas I heard, I know I had heard them somewhere before, in some book I read maybe 10 years ago. But was I applying them in my life? That was the big difference. The quest for personal mastery on Mind Valley's Quest app, and that's why it's called a quest, is designed on an idea we call behavioral stacking. It's not just about giving you an idea, giving you a piece of knowledge. It's about showing you how to integrate that knowledge in your life so you don't forget it, so that it becomes a practice. And so if you have read 1,000 personal growth books, I bet you've picked up some of these ideas, but you've probably forgotten them, or you've probably had them stored somewhere in the back of your mind and aren't really applying them in life. What this quest does is it brings all of this to the forefront in a beautiful structure, and over 45 days, it stacks on habits and behaviors and new ways of thinking and new ways of looking at your job. The videos in this quest are relatively short. Some of them are only 3 minutes, but Rao will assign to you an exercise that you have to do to take this philosophy, to take these new models and integrate them deeply with who you are. Question 3, I didn't have time to consume the masterclass. Not a problem. The masterclass is really just a taster. It's for people who want to get a sense of how Rao teaches. But I mean, if you trust TED.com that took one of his talks that was outside TED and put it on TED.com because he was that good, if you trust Ivy League schools like Columbia, incredible universities like London Business School that bring him in as a lecturer, then you know that he's going to be an incredible teacher on this program. And you don't have to attend the masterclass. The program is too pricey. How? Do you know what people pay for their MBA? And check out this quote. This one student of Sri Kumar Rao said that 80% of the cost of his MBA, which was about $120,000, was gained just from attending Rao's class. What's 80% of 120? You can do the math. But this is under $500. This is one of the best ever investments you can make in your life. So I don't think this is pricey at all. This is probably one of the best ever investments you can make in yourself. Question, I don't have time. I have other commitments, so cannot enroll for this quest. Sorry, but that's bullshit. Why don't you have time? Well, let me explain. Most of us spend 70% of our waking hours at work. 70% of our waking hours. It absorbs the bulk of our time. Yet most of us don't work right. We are working in a highly suboptimal, inefficient way. We struggle, we strive, we push towards goals. One of the great things about Rao is that he shows you a whole new way of functioning in work, where you're tapped into your spiritual core. You've learned the concept of setting goals and then surrendering to what he calls the benevolent universe. And what you find is that what you're striving for at work comes to you more effortlessly. When I've started applying these ideas in my life, I'm not working more, I'm working less. And I'm seeing even greater results because I'm living a life of personal mastery. That's what happens when you take this course. And by the way, it's like 10 to 15 minutes a day. And 45 days later, you're fundamentally functioning at work in a different way. You're getting better results in less time. This program gives you time. It adds time to your life. So don't give yourself this dumb excuse that you cannot invest in a quest that's 15 minutes a day to make you a master of the rest of your life. Objection 4. The quest lessons are too short and simple. Okay, so this is from the opposite type of person, from the one who says they're too busy, right? It's meant to be short and simple. The tough part is implementing the exercises that Rao says. For example, he's going to give you an exercise for you to do every night for about 3 minutes before you go to bed. This exercise, since I started doing it, it's had a profound impact on my life. But it takes 3 minutes to explain and then 3 minutes to apply. Don't be the type of person who thinks that just because something is complex and long-winded, it's valuable. Sometimes the best things we can do in our life are these tiny 3-minute ideas that create an incredible punch, but it has nothing to do with the length in terms of how these ideas are delivered. It has to do with the quality and the power of the idea. What's the difference between the Quest for Personal Mastery and Sri Kumar Rao's books and Personal Mastery audio course? Very, very, very different. The audio course is a lot shorter. It's basically an audio book. And yes, Sri Kumar Rao does have some great books out there focused on company culture and happiness. The Quest for Personal Mastery is a lot more than a book. It's equivalent to taking a seminar. When you take a seminar, you're learning with other students. Same here, you're in a tribe of other students. And when you take a seminar, you're going through a deep immersion in transformation. Same here. You're getting ideas, you're getting homework, you're getting instructions on what to bring into your day. You're communicating with other students. You're going through a 45-day transformation. Seminars are fantastic, right? I mean, often we read a book and it goes in and then a week later we've forgotten 90% of it. When you attend a seminar, there's a deep immersion. You learn in a different way. And something shifts about you because you're fully immersed in it. A quest is like a deep immersion but stretched out over 45 days, 15 minutes a day. It's as powerful as a seminar. So I hope you enjoyed these FAQs. Remember, you don't have to make up your mind right now. You can enroll in the Quest for Personal Mastery, and if you feel this isn't for you, anytime in the first 10 days, shoot one email to our award-winning customer support team, support@mindvalley.com, get a full refund. Everything in Mindvalley, we have your back. And our programs are some of the finest in the world. I can't wait for you to discover the Quest for Personal Mastery. Enrollment information is below. Hi everyone, so I want to give you a quick tour of what happens when you enroll for the Quest for Personal Mastery. So firstly, you can take this quest with Sri Kumar Rao on your desktop or even on your smartphone. It's available in multiple formats. There's even an Apple TV app. And it doesn't matter whether you have an iPad or an iPhone or an Android device or any other form of tablet. It's available on desktop, smartphone, tablet, and Apple TV. Now let me show you what it looks like. So the first thing is when you log into the Quest for Personal Mastery, you will get access to warm-up exercises. Our quest starts on a specific day. All the students start together, move through it together, supporting each other, and then cross the finishing line together. A lot of people who have taken these programs with Rao say that the greatest thing they gain is that kinship, that friendship with fellow students. Now, while waiting for the start date, there are warm-up exercises and warm-up content for you to go through. Here is an example. Okay, so simply click play for the warm-up content to begin.
Business from Columbia Business School.
Now, you notice something interesting about the player. If you're one of those people who like listening at different speeds, these options are available for you. And it comes with an audio-only version for those of you who might want to listen in your car. Now, one of the interesting things about this quest is that there are tasks to complete. After you're done with each lesson, simply check on the task for you to complete to move to the next lesson. Now, in the quest, there are 7 days of exercises. Some of these videos are only 3 minutes long. Rao explains things really clearly. You can get a point in 3 minutes. What happens then, though, is that there's some homework for you to do. This may take you an additional 5 to 10 minutes that day, but these homeworks stack on a set of behaviors, beliefs, and rituals that move you towards this path for personal mastery. At any point, you can click on Go to Community to access the community for the Quest for Personal Mastery. The community is powered on Facebook, and all our students, all our new members are all here ready to support you in your growth. So that's it. It's super easy to use. And the great thing about Mindvalley's Quest platform is because of the way it's designed, because of the function, it has one of the highest student transformation rates and completion rates of any learning platform in the world. So I know you're going to have an incredible time on this system.